So the news from the other side of the pond is that the UK are wanting to go full ahead with digital IDs. They're saying it's to stop the boats, but yeah, you could stop the boats without a digital ID. Obviously, we all know that. But let's have a listen and a dig into that, and then let's talk to somebody totally independent, and let's see how that could affect Canada, or would it affect Canada, and yeah, what could go on in Canada that that could be concerning. Yeah, so Starmer gave a little speech at the Labour conference in England. Labour's a little bit like Liberal here, obviously. You all know who Starmer is. He's the guy who locks up people for Facebook posts in England. Yeah, it's a complicated thing. There's a big petition going out that people don't want digital ID, but let's just hear him out.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them.
Yep, it definitely wants to push it through. How will that affect people in the UK? We're not sure yet. But one thing's for sure, this guy went to have a chat with their guy, and yeah, they're pretty close. So is it going to come here, or is it going to stay there? Will we have a say? What the heck is going to go on with this digital ID stuff, and will it be linked to a digital bank account? Will you get restrictions? There's so many questions surrounding digital ID. Now remember, this isn't just an ID. Digital ID isn't just an ID that you show, or you say, oh, that's me. Yeah, digital ID is a tracker. It tracks what you do. It tracks whether you're working. It tracks if you pay tax. It tracks where you go. It tracks what you buy. It will track where you travel to. It tracks everything that you do. Digital ID will track it. So let's have a chat with somebody and just get the lowdown on how it might affect Canadians. Can you tell me how the UK digital ID will restrict movements for people in the UK if the government wishes to do so?
That's a great question, and definitely a concern that's been raised. Essentially, if the government makes the digital ID mandatory for certain activities like working, accessing certain services, or even travelling, then it could potentially restrict movement for those who don't have it. In practice, this means that people who are unable or unwilling to get the digital ID might find it harder to access certain services or even participate in the workforce. There's a lot of debate around how far this would go and whether there would be exemptions or alternative ways to verify identity. It's definitely a complex issue and one that will likely be monitored closely as the implementation unfolds.
Could you tell me what countries have got digital ID at the moment and are restricting their citizens using the digital ID and information gained through it?
Several countries have implemented digital ID systems, each with different levels of restrictions. For example, China's digital ID system, known as Real DID, requires citizens to provide sensitive data like facial scans to access online services, which raises concerns about state surveillance. On the other hand, Estonia's EID system is quite user-friendly and doesn't impose such restrictions. India's Aadhaar system, while not strictly mandatory, is essential for accessing a wide range of services. The extent of restrictions really depends on the specific country and how they implement their systems. If you want more details on any specific country, just let me know.
Do you think Canada will follow the UK in the use of digital ID? And also, do you think Canada would be one of the countries similar to England, UK, that could use it against their citizens?
Canada is definitely exploring digital ID systems, but but it's not quite as unified or as comprehensive as the UK's plan at the moment. Some provinces like Alberta are moving forward with their own versions of digital IDs, and there are discussions in other provinces as well. Privacy is a major focus in Canada, and regulators are emphasising that these systems must be transparent and must protect citizens' privacy. So while there's definitely potential for digital IDs to be used in a way that might raise concerns, the approach in Canada seems to be more cautious and focused on privacy protections compared to the UK. If you have any specific concerns or want more details, just let me know.
I'm just wondering if, with the introduction of a digital currency in the UK, whether the UK would restrict people's buying power and tie that in with their social credit scores.
The UK is indeed exploring the idea of a digital currency, often referred to as a digital pound, but the authorities have made it clear that it won't replace cash and won't be tied to any kind of social credit system. The Bank of England has emphasised that they would be monitoring or controlling how people spend their digital currency. So at this stage, it looks like there are no plans to link it to anything resembling a social credit score. It seems like the focus is more on making transactions more efficient and secure.
Thing is, do you trust the government? that's the bit, like social credit scores and stuff like that. Look at the trucker convoy. We got people's bank accounts were actually frozen because of their views, because they protested against the government and made that quite clear that they did not want the mandates that the government wanted to set the citizens of Canada. They were then restricted with their buying power, should I say. If they would do it for that reason, then I've no doubt that they would do it for any reason they feel a reason, if you know what I mean. And by that, the reason... Oh, jet coming. Yeah, I'm near the airport. And by that token, do we think that if you have right-leaning tendencies, let's say you support and you give money, say to Poilievre, or you give money to the Conservative government, whether or not that would then be tracked on your digital ID and maybe used against you in some kind of restrictive mode. If you remember during the trucker convoy, I know this is all sounding a little bit, bit hyped, a little bit hype, a little bit too much to take in all at once, but conspiracy theories or conspiracy theorists, similar to what I was saying over a year ago, if you look back, we're talking about bringing digital IDs and about governments bringing digital ID control in, and look, it's happening now. So what if they use this as a control into whether or not you could vote? Maybe they'll use it as a voting procedure. Maybe they'll use it as I think mostly they will use it as some kind of travel procedure. Like one of the things that was talked about is if you've used let's just say that you travel and you've used up so many carbon credits, because you're not part of the government traveling all the time and allowed to do things like that. You're just a minion, just some sort of you're just a muggles in the mix. You let's say you went on 2 holidays this year, and then while you're booking your holiday, your ID might say, look, you've used up all your carbon credits for this year. Maybe wait 6 months until you build up your carbon credit again. Or are you using too much gasoline in your car? Another carbon credit thing. It could all come down to towards the net zero thing that Carney loves so much. Anyway, enough of that. I'd love to hear your opinions on this, because I don't see anything good coming from digital ID. I don't see anything good from the government tracking its citizens at all. At all. Anyway, another jet coming, so I'll go now and see you on the next one.